All About Us, where we are talking and continuing to build a community for those of us who are survivors, for those of us who want to know about, you've been victimized, you've been violated, you suffered of rape. I know I am, and our author that you continue to see in every video, because we want to do good stuff.
Yeah.
Tell us the author, okay? What the world did you write for us? For those of you who follow our segments know that I always do it.
Right. The Other Side of the Wall, Unbreakable. And the word unbreakable, it's like a subtitle, I guess you call it. I never put on the cover until the very last second I made this change. And it's because I think that I discovered that I was unbreakable, that I am not broken. And I heard somebody say that just the other day, that I'm not broken. And I remember times in my life that I said that I was broken.
Yeah.
Or I would say something else about it. Oh, that I was damaged goods. Oh my God, I hate those two words. And I'm not unbreakable, so I put that on the cover too.
So we continue our conversation. In our last segment, we mentioned the 6-year-old. If you read the book, you will know, and this is not only about the book, this is about creating a community. And I bring on a lot of authors, but I do want to create that community that says, there's a place I can go and listen to this, or a therapist, or someone who's trying to go into, social work or something like that, to know there's a place where I can watch these two women and learn about the journey of Kathleen and
or if you're a friend of a survivor, a friend of a survivor,
right? Or you work in a place where you go, wait, my client said that the other day, or my cousin said that the other day,
yeah,
but she used the word violated or she used this word or that. The word is really determined by the individual, and I know many disagree with me. But I think that you use the language that you need to use, and later on, if you decide to change the language of it, you can as well.
Right. A lot of people, like, I went from feeling like a victim, because I was a victim, to a survivor, and it took a while to actually feel like a survivor, I think. But that's how I think of all victims of sexual assault. They did survive in the beginning anyway, so I kind of turn them into survivors in my head immediately, because they're telling their story, or they're sitting in front of me,
The other part about surviving, some of the things that we live through, is that you can get to the place where you go, damn girl, there is some stuff you lived, and so when you confront other things in your life, you go, that was the problem. And I say that because I have said that to myself. Many people say never look back, and this book is looking back.
Yes, it is.
There's a lot of looking back, and I disagree. I always look back and go, all right, bring it on. It's going to be difficult, it's going to be challenging, not minimizing any of those, but I have survived lots of things, so let's go. And I don't mean that lightly, I just mean as I always look back and I do say, damn girl.
And I'm still in therapy, but I only go once every 2 weeks now. And my last session that I had was probably the most emotional session I'd had in years. So there are still triggers in my life, as healthy as I am now. There are some things that really disrupt my insides every now and then, but I'm in a healthier place now where I know where I can go to get this out of my body. I really want it out of my body much quicker, because I held it to myself for so many, until I was 38 years old. And so, yeah.
There's a great book that I recommend to everybody, is The Body Keeps the Score.
Oh, yeah, I've read that.
And it's on audio, you can buy the book, all of that kind of stuff. And it does scientifically prove that your body does keep the score of what you're living and what you're trying to survive, and then how to learn that you actually survive.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about love.
Okay.
Let's talk about love. Who doesn't want to talk about love? I have a couple of friends who would be like, I don't.
Yeah.
You find love, and we talked about this in a different segment, but somebody, you found love, you got married, you share your life with a wonderful person. We all know, well, at least we know who this person is, but you found love. But there was something you did, and we spoke about this, but we didn't go into details, and apparently people want to know.
Mm-hmm.
So when do you decide you're going to meet this person for the first time, right? You're really not dating, but you spoke on the phone for a long time, but it's time to meet.
We didn't speak on the phone
At
for a
all?
long time. No, you're talking about Mike, right? My husband.
I don't know another husband.
No,
Is this a different conversation? Y'all, we should ask her. Just
No.
You didn't talk on the phone at all?
No, we
Communicated via
emails, old-fashioned emails. But
mine
we
was phone, so I'm trying
right.
to.
But
Okay.
we met through our friend Juliana, and we planned for a date 1 week later, the four of us, to go out. And I was damned if I was going to go to that date without telling him every single thing.
Previous to the
Date. Yeah.
So previous to meeting,
There's a reason for this too.
that's where I'm trying to get at,
okay.
because it's like,
So not years, maybe maybe it was 2 years or so ago, before I met Mike, I had a relationship, and this is all in the book too, with a man who I really, I thought we had a great relationship. I had shared many things that had happened to me over the time that we were together, and he was a very big presence in my life when I had to go to the hospital, which I mentioned in the last segment. And he brought me there and was very supportive and everything. But as time, the 2 week period went, and he came to visit all the time and everything. But 3 days before I was to go home, he broke up with me. And it was devastating.
did he say why?
He said, and I pretty much quote, I didn't think love was supposed to be this hard. And in my response, beyond the tears, was just give me a little bit more time. I just need a little bit more time. But that's not how it went. And we communicated afterwards and remained in a friendly, but I was heartbroken. And that would never happen to me again.
And you're not out of the psych unit yet?
No, but then I was immediately, those last 3 days, I plotted out how I was going to end my life again. And I did all these things, but I knew how to say the words I needed to say to get let out. And so that's what I did. But then apparently I'd learned a lot more while I was in the hospital and with all the therapy and everything. And so I'm here. But then I don't need a man in my life. I'm doing just fine. I don't want to be hurt again. I can't take another painful moment. And so when I was introduced to my husband, I was going to to tell him absolutely everything wrong with me in the first week that I knew him. So,
Before,
the first date. We met like, Julie and her husband, they brought Mike to the hospital, or Gary brought Mike to the hospital.
where you work at?
Right. And I was working with Julie at the time, and they showed up after 2 12-hour shifts, me looking like the wreck of the Hesperus. And I'm like, oh my God. And so they invited us over for drinks afterwards. So that was the first time that I met him. And then we made the date for the following week. And during that week, we wrote back and forth because he lived in New York City. And we emailed each other.
Different states. They lived
Yes,
in
I
different states.
Connecticut, he was in New York City. And I wrote long emails telling me every medication I was on, how many times I went to therapy a week, everything that happened, well, not everything, but a good part of what happened to me when I was a child, that I had been to the hospital, and I was going to do all that before I met him, and so I did, and he still showed up, and then we continued to do that. But I
What
wanted,
was your intent?
my intent was to make him run away. Like, if you're gonna run away,
Do it
just do it now before I fall in love with you. Because I can't have my heart broken again, I just couldn't. And I don't hold any bad feelings about the previous relationship, you know, it is what it is, and then I met my husband. So he decided to love me anyway.
Did he ever respond to your email, to your?
Yes. And he responded with compassion and understanding, and it's okay. It was never anything negative. I couldn't make him say anything negative. And
Couldn't make
I
him.
was on a mission, it felt like. But apparently he was the one. So, you know, and we all have stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So I won't share his stuff because I would not speak for him. But
We don't want to get in trouble. I
Right.
live in trouble.
we all have things. And so he started to share the things that upset him in his life, that happened to him in his life.
Mm-hmm.
And we grew closer because of those intimate emails. And then he would come and visit on the weekends, every other weekend sometime, because I worked every other weekend. And people say long distance relationships don't work. Well, and then you add me putting in these emails, that all these things that I found very distasteful, thinking he would just, this is just way too much, you know. It worked. We met in, I don't know, September, October. We got engaged in December that year, and we got married the following October. But I felt like,
I like that it was October because October's my birthday. And I love Christmas, so I celebrate.
So I just wanted him to know all this stuff, and it wasn't that I really thought there was anything bad about me, but I knew I had issues, a lot of issues, what not everybody is really willing to be married to. And I get that, but he gave me more than a chance. And he wrote beautiful letters. I saved them all. I think there's one in here somewhere. And so really it was a mission to make him go away before I fell in love with him, in a nutshell. Do I advise this? No, probably not. But it was the only way I could do it at that time, because I didn't want him to have any surprises. You know, this is my baggage. And I think I was getting to the point where it's just my baggage, and this, you either like me or you don't, you know. And ask that with my friends. You don't just do it with the romantic love relationship. I mean, he needed to know that, you know, I had some issues.
She calls them issues. Okay, we can talk about issues. In our next segment, we're gonna talk about how do you get out there? How do you get your body back? Because you do a beautiful job at explaining that, so.
Oof.
See you in our next segment.